What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video. Time to do another mock draft, so we'll do the poll from last week's mock draft to start, go over some news that happened this last week, and then we'll do the stat of the day, followed by, of course, the actual mock. So, last week we did quarterback middle versus quarterback late. Took Kyler Murray and Darnell Mooney, or would we rather have T. Higgins and Stafford? I don't actually remember which one I ended up doing. I feel like I started the draft with Kyler Murray in like the 5th round, but I could be wrong there. I've definitely taken Stafford a number of times this offseason. You guys said that quarterback late was the preferred option. I think I somewhat agree with you, especially now. I don't think at the time Andy Dalton had signed with the Bears. I think we'd still been thinking that there was at least a small chance that Russell Wilson was going to be the quarterback, but I think now I agree. Mooney definitely gets a downgrade with Andy Dalton. He's definitely someone that we can still target later in the draft, and I think that his ADP is gonna maintain like a really low. Like if Wilson came there, I mean, where was Mooney gonna be drafted? Maybe the 7th round? Did people go that high onto Mooney? I mean, it would have been phenomenal. But with Andy Dalton, not gonna be the greatest deep threat. So I kind of agree with you guys. Grab T. Higgins, grab Stafford, because I'm very high on what Stafford could do this season. But 55% of you said that, and I guess we'll see at the end of the season which one was correct. So let's go over some news. Got a lot of things that are happening. This one doesn't really matter too much. Tevin Coleman signs with the Jets. 1 year, $2 million deal. That's not a lot of money. Let's say they sign him to like a 1 year, $7 million deal. Well, now that would indicate to me, oh, they actually view him as a guy who can be their lead back this season. Maybe they don't go out in the draft and get someone, or free agency and get someone. Listen, that's not a lot of money. It basically, to me, indicates they're still looking for their running back. I don't know. Like, it's the running back on the Jets. I would just avoid him. If he's available, like, really late in drafts, it's worth a shot, I guess, because technically right now he is the starter, but I have a feeling they're going to take someone in the draft and kind of have him kind of compete with Tevin Coleman, who has, struggled to stay healthy in recent years. T.Y. Hilton signs a 1-year deal with the Colts. He indicated he wants to retire there, so we knew that if he was going to re-sign, if he was going to sign anywhere, it was going to be re-signing with them. I don't think this changes anything. Like, we kind of figured he wasn't going to retire this season. We knew he was going to sign there. It doesn't really affect my thoughts on Pittman. Of course, you would have preferred, if you really wanted to draft Pittman, for Hilton to be gone, but you kind of knew he wasn't going to be. Damian Williams, this is a big one, signs with the Bears. I do not have a confirmation on like exactly what the contract is, how much is guaranteed, but this is not good. I mean, they have Montgomery, Cohen, now Williams. Williams has kind of been a mixture of everything. Like, he's been solid in the receiving game, solid on early downs. So it's not like they bring in just a pass catching specialist who's going to compete with Cohen. He's competing with touches for both of them. And I don't know. It really, really, to me, hurts the role of Montgomery because, I mean, think about it. We liked him last year, especially after Cohen went down, because he's just getting all of the touches. It doesn't matter how efficient you are if you're literally always on the field, always getting the goal line, the early down, the receptions. He's getting all of it. Well, if you bring Cohen back, you cap those receptions. You bring Montgomery, and he's already there. You bring Damian Williams in, that takes some of the carries, some of the receptions. So I want to see how big the contract is. If it's virtually nothing, then maybe we say, okay, they're probably not going to use him, but this hurts. You can still draft David Montgomery, but this definitely hurts, and he's not going to be someone I'm targeting for sure. James White signs with the Patriots. Assuming that Cam is going to be the quarterback, we're going to have to just watch the draft and see what they do. Assuming Cam is still the quarterback, we're not drafting James White. That's just not the type of running back that we typically want to go after, and B, we want to go after with a mobile quarterback. He's just far less likely to get all those receptions. Kyle Rudolph officially signs with the Giants. I believe last week we said he was going there, but then they had the whole thing about how they weren't clear on the health of his foot and he might need surgery, and they're like, well, do we really want him? And that's all out of the way now. He's going to have surgery, but he should be fine for week 1. The deal has gone through. 2 years, $12 million, $4.5 million guaranteed. That's a pretty big contract. And honestly, I'm just staying away from the tight ends on New York. Like, it just doesn't feel worth it. I know Evan Ingram has a decent amount of upside, but he struggled to stay healthy. And then I don't think Kyle Rudolph's all that good. And so I'm just not going to draft either of them. Some teams are interested in N'Keal Harry. Hopefully they take him away. You guys know I'm a Patriots fan. I hate N'Keal Harry. I really hope he's just not on the Patriots. Take him away for whatever you want. And we're not touching him in fantasy pretty much regardless of where he goes. Big news. Deshaun Watson, about 1 million civil suits filed against him. We just need to see this play out. Like, none of us have any idea what's going to happen with this situation. He could get cut. He could go on the commissioner's exempt list. He could end up playing this season. Literally anything could happen, and it's just not worth guessing. If you're doing a draft right now, just avoid him, right? Because, like, when's the last time you lost your league because you didn't draft a certain quarterback, right? Like, there are so many different options at quarterback. Why on earth would you take a chance in drafting him? So that's what we're doing. We're just completely staying away. And realistically, if we want to jump down I wrote Philip Lindsay on the Broncos, but this is what I want to talk about. Texans, right here. Now it's right. We're just staying away from Houston entirely. Like, now for their running backs, they have David Johnson, Mark Ingram, and Philip Lindsay. That's awful, okay? Their receiving core is pretty garbage. Like, we have no idea what their quarterback situation is. Like, if someone's on the Texans, just cross them off your list at this point, because I don't see a reason why we need to be targeting these guys. So that takes care of that. Mike Davis signed to the Falcons. This is somewhat interesting. 2 years, $5.5 million, $3 million guaranteed. So big enough to where we're like, I mean, they value him clearly. Not big enough to where they won't draft someone in the draft. But if they go into the season with the current depth chart, I'm very excited about the potential for Mike Davis, because he was really solid in fantasy and just general football. He was like solid filling in for McCaffrey last season. So definitely something to pay attention to, although I would still imagine they draft someone. Deshaun Jackson signs with the Rams. This is a really good deal for the Rams as like a football team. For fantasy, we're not taking Deshaun Jackson. If you want to do it in like a best ball format, go for it. But in season long, the odds that Deshaun Jackson has a season that we're consistently trusting is relatively low. I think there are other guys we can target. And this doesn't really take away from Woods and Kupp. I still really like them in fantasy. If anything, this just makes me like Stafford even more. Like, even if we only think Deshaun is going to play like 8 games this season because of injuries, for those 8 games, he's going to have a lot of weapons surrounding him, talking about Stafford there. So I really like Stafford. He's probably the one quarterback. I remember our rule this season was basically got to be mobile. He's probably the only quarterback where I'll throw that out for. Every quarterback you draft has to have like some sort of ability to gain rushing yards, unless their name is Matthew Stafford. Then I think we can go after him. Kenny Golladay, speaking of Stafford, his old teammate is now on the Giants, which, I don't know. That's not a very fun landing spot, right? 4 years, $72 million, $40 million guaranteed. That's a monster contract. I just don't really know what to do with this. Like, Daniel Jones is not good, right? But Golladay is pretty clearly the number one guy. But then, okay, they have Barkley, they have Evan Ingram and Rudolph now. They have other receivers. It's like they don't just have him. They have other options. And like I said, Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones. Like, he's just not that good. He's not going to throw for 5,000 yards. So, I don't know. Like, I feel like Golladay is the kind of player where if you're in a draft and everyone kind of feels that same way, they're like, I don't want Golladay, and he keeps slipping, you can take him. But if people are looking at this and be like, yeah, he's the number one now, I got to go after him, let them. Like, let them reach on Golladay, let them take him. I'd probably only draft him if he becomes like a really nice value. Chris Carson, this is a really nice one, re-signs with Seattle. I was a little bit concerned about Carson because we didn't know where he was going, and there was definitely a chance he screwed up a backfield, kind of like Kenyon Drake did, but then also just, for his own sake, went to a team that wasn't going to utilize him much. But we know that Seattle likes using him. Decent contract, 2 years, nearly $15 million, 5.5 of that guaranteed. He's basically going to be on that team for the next 2 seasons. Really nice outcome for him. I think we can target him very similarly to how we did last season. Juju signs with the Steelers, 1 year, $8 million contract. Wide receiver market was definitely down. They were not getting the contracts that they were hoping for. And I feel like Juju looked at that and said, okay, my plan was to sign here. I'm clearly not going to get a lot of money. I'll take a 1-year deal. Hope I can have a good season. Hope that the market next year is better for wide receivers. And then hopefully re-sign a bigger deal then. Because he's young enough to still be able to do that. But he has said he wanted to stay there and he was willing to take a discount, which I think he could have gotten more money leaving. But 1-year prove-it deal, not the worst situation for him. They've now got Deontay, Claypool, and Juju again. But again, they're relying on Big Ben, right? And that could be an issue. His health has declined over the last few seasons. His effectiveness has kind of declined. And so we'll see how that works out. But I'm not super excited about Juju in fantasy. Final note, Will Fuller signs with the Dolphins, 1 year, $10 million, effectively fully guaranteed. Just he's going to miss week 1 because of the suspension. And so, of course, he won't be paid for that week. But regardless, 1 year, $10 million contract. Going to compete with Devonta Parker for that number 1 role. He's my wide receiver 27 right now. I feel solid about him in that range. I just feel like that's Will Fuller, right? Like Will Fuller has that chance of getting injured. Will Fuller will have some down weeks, but he's got so much upside to where 5th round, right? We're kind of throwing the floor out of the picture, and we're saying who's got a ton of upside, and it's always Will Fuller. I'll say this though, Tua didn't look fantastic last season, and he's definitely not fantastic deep, at least right now. Maybe that changes, and so worth considering that we have a lot of risk there. Like Will Fuller with Watson was, an incredible combination. What is he with Tua? I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. And so if he gets taken a little bit too high, maybe there's too many unknowns and not enough upside to fully make up for it. Stat of the day. This one's up next. Yesterday's question said there were 4 running backs last season that had at least 8 rushing touchdowns and 2 receiving touchdowns. Said 3 of them were Kamara, Jones, and Swift. Who was the 4th? The answer is David Montgomery, Jacob Massive, and at Oz567. Got that on Twitter and on YouTube. Today's stat. 7 wide receivers threw a touchdown pass last season. Cole Beasley, Jarvis Landry, Russell Gage, Jamison Crowder, Isaiah McKenzie, and Cedric Wilson were 6 of them. Who was the only other wide receiver to throw a touchdown pass? No, the answer is not Taysom Hill. He was a tight end / quarterback. Okay, let's do the mock draft. So I should probably make these bigger, but whatever, we'll do it next time. These are the drafts we've done. Last one was 8, so I kind of don't want to do one in this range. So why don't we'll do 4, give that the old last, and then next week we'll do like a late one. We'll do maybe 10 or 11, probably 11. We'll remove ourselves from 8 a little bit. So we'll do 4 this week, 11 next week. Beautiful. Okay. Grab it on 4. Let's do full PPR this week. I don't remember what we did last week, but I feel like we've done a lot of half PPRs. Wait, no. Not 4 teams. Don't do that. 12 teams, 4th position. Let's do a different setup. So let's do 3 receiver again. I see this setup a lot for you guys. We'll do 1 flex spot, 5 bench, no kicker. So this is a big setup in full PPR leagues. Add in that 3rd wide receiver spot, but still keep the flex. So you could go 2 running backs, 4 receivers to start. You could go 3 running backs, 3 receivers, but it's not as extreme as the double flex spot. That gives a lot of flexibility. I prefer, if you guys are wondering, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 2 flex. I kind of like those types of leagues. Thinks it just allows pretty much any draft strategy to be viable. But I think this is like the next best setup for a full PPR league. So we'll do that. We'll keep slightly high on quarterback. We will add slightly high on wide receiver as well, because you have to think that in this type of setup, people are more willing to go with 4 receivers. So we'll kind of keep that, and we will start the draft. At 4, we're probably going to lock up our running back. I mean, that's what I would imagine would happen. Lock that up, and then we kind of just start hammering out wide receivers in these next rounds. But there's our team. Put that away. So we get McCaffrey, Kamara, Barkley. That is pretty much exactly how you're going to expect every draft to go. High drafted players. So our option. We grab Dalvin Cook. seems like the smartest option. Basically, if we don't do that, we're going with Adams. Obviously, I can't fault anyone for going with Devonta Adams. That is pretty much what carried me to my second place, unfortunately, finish in the 14-team league that I had him in. But I was also able to grab him in like what I have. I think I had like the 12 or the 13 pick in the 14-team league, and I got him in the second round because everyone was just hammering out running backs. But that's not going to happen this season, right? You're going to have to spend a top 6 pick, top 7 pick to get Adams in pretty much any format. But yeah, I think you lock up. It's just generally like a good strategy. Lock up that running back because there's so many of these wide receivers that we can target, and running back starts to fall off a cliff. I'm not against going double running back here, but looking at this screen, and I'll pull up who actually got taken. So after we go, running backs are Henry, Zeke, Chubb, Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler, Jonathan Taylor, then nothing, a huge stretch of wide receivers, which is kind of unfortunate for us. We see Adams, Michael Thomas, Tyreek Hill go in the first round, and then second round, starting with the second pick of the second through the seventh pick of the second round, Diggs, Metcalf, Hopkins, Brown, Ridley, and Allen Robinson all go, and then finishes off with Patrick Mahomes. So pull up our cheat sheet. Our options at running back, remember we did the video, or I did the video, yesterday, breaking down Swift versus Dobbins. I said in a full PPR league, took 26 minutes to come to this, but in a full PPR league, Swift over Dobbins, barely. And it said it came down to that question of what do you think Jamal Williams' role is going to be? Is it going to be 35% or more of the touches? Probably go with Dobbins. If it's going to be kind of less than that, go with Swift. I think that he's going to have a role, but it's not going to be so big that in full PPR makes up for it. So I said Swift over Dobbins in full, but then everything else, go with Dobbins there. But this is a little early, right? Second round for Swift to me with Jamal Williams there. Like I do still prefer both of them in the third round. I don't think it'd be worth going with Mixon here. Honestly, I don't think it's worth going with anyone. I can guarantee you I'm going to get one of these top like 8 guys at my next pick. I think mathematically that has to happen. Yeah, there's going to be 6 picks that go by. And so, I mean, there's at least 6 running backs that I'd be cool with here. So I'm not going to take that because one of them is going to be available and I already have a running back and I might only start 2 running backs in this league. So we're not going running back. Wide receiver, we're kind of in a similar spot. I mean, a lot just got taken, and this is something I talk about a lot. Don't be the end of this tail, right? Like, clearly, Diggs was a solid value. Metcalf was a solid value here because a bunch of people took running backs and they started taking wide receivers. But we're at the end of this like kind of train of those top tier wide receivers. I don't want to be the first to take a top tier or a second tier wide receiver because then I take him and then they start taking the running backs I wanted and then we're kind of at that same range of wide receiver and I really haven't gotten much better value than some of these guys. I want to make sure with every pick that I'm getting better value than someone else. And so you're going to see it a ton, but why not? Just take Travis Kelce. I now have an edge over everyone at that position, and realistically, I have it in multiple positions. Like only 2 or 3 people have a better running back than me here, and no one has a better tight end. And so, given that I still have a ton of options at running back and wide receiver, I think that's smart. Lock that up. But we do kind of lean wide receiver here because we can start so many of them. But I'm definitely not against taking a running back. So not going quarterback, not going tight end. If we went receiver, we're looking at McLaurin. We're still looking at Julio. I mean, where do we have Julio ranked? My rankings up on the side here. Julio ranked at 26. They have we're at 28 overall. I want to pull up my wide receivers. Who do I have? Yeah, so I have Julio effectively ending tier 3, but everyone ahead of him, so I have him as the 9th best receiver. Everyone ahead of him has been taken. So if we pull this up, I actually have Julio ahead of Godwin, ahead of Jefferson, ahead of Adam Thielen, ahead of Michael Thomas, who I don't think was taken in this draft yet. But basically after this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So one of them I don't. Calvin Ridley. Oh, Michael Thomas. Whoa, my goodness. Okay, that's aggressive. I didn't even see him there. So I have him ahead of Michael Thomas as well. I feel like that's an incredible value. I mean, I know we always want to write off Julio and be like, oh, maybe this is the year he starts to decline, but it's still Julio Jones. Let's pull up. Do they still have him up? Sometimes they take this away and it's annoying. Definitely had an issue with injuries last season, but I mean, can we just look at this for a second? Like, if he can stay healthy, he's just like a walking 1,400 yards, and like effectively, like if he stays healthy, it's easily 110 for 1,400 yards. So that is interesting. What is his age? I kind of want to see. Let's check this. He is going to be 32 for the full season. That's fine. Yeah. Okay, so I feel like we'd go with Julio Jones if we went receiver. If we went running back, remember, we're going to see a lot get taken between our next pick. So a lot of these guys are going to come off the board. We're probably not going to have any of these as an option. I mean, we might as well just see who I have here. Akers, it looks like. So Akers would be our top option. You could also do Antonio Gibson. You could definitely do Miles Sanders. Because I have Sanders, like, literally, I have them actually, like, back to back to back effectively. But yeah, I'd probably be down to those three. But no, I think I'm going to take Julio. I think we take Julio. We just evenly build this draft. We hope that one of those running backs is there. Doesn't look like they're going to be. Looks like we just missed, actually. Oof. We just missed on Dobbins. That's unfortunate. But after us, so we see Waller go, so now tight ends, the dead zone. We see Josh Allen and Kyler Murray go. That would have been really interesting as a start to the draft if we had just taken Dalvin Cook, Kelsey, Julio, and like Kyler or Josh Allen and just been like, hey, we got studs everywhere. I kind of wish that had happened. But at receiver, we see Moore, McLaurin, Cooper, Woods, Galladay, and Mike Evans go. And then at running back, we see Jacobs, Miles Sanders, Cam Akers, Clyde, Gibson, James Robinson, and of course, Dobbins go right before us. So in my rankings, we do still have Montgomery in this tier break, but I haven't updated for that news yet. And I also haven't updated for the news of Carson for sure being on Seattle, I don't believe. And I think that's going to make it a jump. I think Carson is going to jump over Montgomery there. Just because I don't know. I mean, I want to see that contract. I want to see what they're doing in camp. But there's a lot of unknowns there. Whereas in Seattle, I mean, they're going to use Carson. And they said they want to run the ball a ton, which is ridiculous. They shouldn't actually want to do that. But I just feel like, I don't know, that's... Carson is just always good when he's on the field. So I think we go with Carson here. Then we have an option. We could potentially double up on running back because we, again, get into a zone that's just gross at running back, whereas at receiver, we still have options. But since we have to start 3 receivers, that's a little bit scary. Options here, Kupp, Deontay Johnson, of course. Adam Thielen is pretty much always good. I feel like we're always undervaluing him. I think it's too risky going with Carson there. I think we got to make sure we get 2 of these really nice options at receiver, and then we just take that hit at running back. Because again, I mean, we can start 4 receivers, and we've already locked up Dalvin Cook. Yeah, I think that's the smartest option. So we'll pull up wide receiver, and we'll see who. Thielen. Yeah, and I was actually looking at some stuff. I feel like we're just undervaluing Thielen this season. He didn't have a phenomenal season other than the touchdowns basically last year. He had the 74 receptions, under 1,000 yards, 14 touchdowns was monstrous. A little bit concerning taking him and Cook, but this is an offense where it's okay, where's the ball going? Right, the ball is going to Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and Irv Smith. And that's it, right? It's those 4 and then just traces to everyone else. So when you get into those situations, there's still a good offense, right? And so if I can just lock up, and we do this in DFS a ton. It's like if I think they're going to score 27 in a week and it's literally just 4 guys getting the ball, it is so safe just being like, all right, give me 2 of them. Because I think last year they had like an insane stretch where if you took 2 of them, you were just like guaranteed that one of them was going to score like 30. I mean, it was just incredible that how many times they just had blow up games. So I'm definitely not opposed to it on this team, whereas opposed to another team where it's like, oh, they have like 6, 7 options. I don't really want to take 2 of them. But if I didn't go with Thielen, it would probably be Deontay Johnson. I feel like it's really close between Deontay Johnson and Cooper Kupp. I do have Deontay Johnson there. Especially in a full PPR league, like the receptions were just really, really, really nice last season. The targets are basically always there when you had a fully healthy game. That's tough. All right, how do you guys rank those 3? There's our question for this week. How do you rank Cooper Kupp, Deontay Johnson, and Adam Thielen? Right now, I have it Thielen, then Deontay Johnson, then Cooper Kupp. And that's what I'm going to take here. But I'm curious what you guys have it as. Doesn't look like I'll be able to get another one of them. Jeez. Wow. So the computer, I mean, does what they should have done. That's the correct choice in this range. After me, 6 picks go by, 6 wide receivers. Cooper Kupp, then Deontay Johnson, then Juju, Lockett, Ayuk, and CeeDee Lamb. It looks like I do still have T. Higgins here, who I want to say is one of the final pieces in... So it's not tier 4, tier 5. No, I guess I still have Sutton, Juju, and Odell. Did Juju get taken? So Sutton and Odell still in like my 5th tier. But looking at this, I do think T. Higgins is like significantly better than like everyone left. And even with Carson still available, like knowing the fact that I'm just not going to get Chris Carson, I think for my team, we'll pull it up here. I think for my team, locking up T. Higgins and saying, I'm effectively 100% sure while these guys are healthy that Julio, Adam Thielen, and Higgins are going to have incredible floors every week, incredible ceilings. And if I compare that with Dalvin Cook and Travis Kelce, I just feel very, very confident in that beginning to the draft. Whereas if I went with Carson, we're dropping down at wide receiver, and since I have to start 3 of them, now I'm a little bit more shaky with my wide receiver picks. And I would rather be shaky at my second running back spot because I've just got that rock in Dalvin Cook. So I think T. Higgins, we stock it up. We say we're not going to get the running back that we want. And we will, or are we? Oh. Okay. So I guess we are going to get the running back that we want. I feel like, no, there's no way I feel like that's going to happen. But according to the expert rankings, that's what's happening. So after our pick, we see a huge run on tight end. So round 5 and 6, which is what I think is going to happen this season, is going to have like Kelce and Kittle go in the 2nd, Waller in the 3rd. That's what I think is going to happen in most leagues. 4th, 5th, kind of going to have like no one, and then we're just going to see an explosion once someone starts it. Hawkinson, Mark Andrews, Noah Fant, Logan Thomas. That feels a little early for him, but I don't mind the pick, to be honest. We see Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson go at quarterback, and then we see only Montgomery, Ronald Jones, and Travis Etienne go at running back. So we were contemplating Carson in our last pick. We're just going to take him now. We're not going to overthink it. Would have probably liked to grab Melvin Gordon at that next one, for being honest. And we're seeing more of the quarterbacks go. So I was hoping also maybe get Melvin Gordon, maybe get Dak Prescott. Both of them get taken. So we need to be cognizant of that. We need to know that quarterback is starting to dwindle. I think we still have great options. I mean, we still have, I think I'd have to imagine Aaron Rodgers is next on my list here, but we'll pull up quarterback and confirm that. I actually have Aaron Rodgers at 5, right before Dak and Wilson, Herbert, Jalen Hurts. Stafford, yeah, that all makes sense to me. I think we go with. I know I'm doing almost what I talk about like not doing sometimes, and like just filling out your starting roster. But if we add in Aaron Rodgers here, where's the weak point in this roster? Like I feel like we've built it very strong in that like there's just no holes. Like, do we have a hole at running back? Of course not. Dalvin Cook and Carson. At quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, Kelsey at tight end. I just feel like we're very, very solid throughout these 5 bench spots. Now we're just going to alternate kind of like running back and wide receiver, but we don't need to go with one over the other. Like we can afford to, if we really like some of the running backs, go with like 3 running backs. Or if we really like the wide receivers, go with a few of those. Just because I feel like we've built it solidly. So really like that. Running back has dropped off a lot. We don't like Gaskin. They're going to go with someone else. We don't want Mostert. Fournette is an option. I have no clue where he's going to be, but if he re-signs with Tampa Bay, that'll be a good pick. Do not want Singletary. Don't really want James Conner, unless he were to sign with Miami maybe. Don't really want A.J. Dillon with the spot anymore. Damian Harris is an option, but the receptions are going to be so low that we don't love that. It's probably too early to take some of the rookies that haven't gone off the board. Of course, you could have gone with Etienne. You could have gone with Najee Harris, who goes 1 spot before us, who I would have taken. I mean, like Javonte Williams, like we'll see, where he goes. But for not knowing where he's drafted, I don't think 8th round we can really do that. So it is gross at running back. Mike Davis, honestly, we can end up just taking a little bit later. I feel like I've taken Fournette so many times, but he's the only one that I can really talk myself into at this point. And because that's the case, I almost want to just like make sure we get him, because then I think a lot of these wide receivers are the same. Like, of course, I would love Curtis Samuel. I would love Pittman. Yeah, I guess it's actually really those 2 that I would like love. Edelman, I don't even know. Is he going to be on the Patriots? I have no idea what's going to happen with that situation. Jamar Chase. You would obviously take Jamar Chase at this spot. So Jamar Chase. All right, there's our decision point. So tell me your rankings between whatever 3 I had mentioned before. It was Adam Thielen, Cooper Kupp, and Deontay Johnson. Tell me that. But the decision point here is, do we take Leonard Fournette with this pick, or do we take Jamar Chase? I know that the computer probably means that we're going to get Jamar Chase at our next pick, but I'm assuming that at this point in the draft, he'll be going. And so throw that out of your minds. Like, pretend that we're not going to get either of them at our next pick. For me, I think I'm going to go with Fournette and just secure that 3rd one, because like, what if Dalvin Cook got injured and Carson doesn't have a huge role and we don't take Fournette and then we're trying to rely on this range to start every week? That's a little bit more scary for me. And at least there's that chance, like if he signs with Tampa Bay, there's that chance that he's what he was down the stretch next season. So we'll take him as our like 3rd running back. We probably wouldn't be starting him right away unless we knew that information. We'll take Jamar Chase with the next pick, because I don't want to like take him too late and make that like super unrealistic. It's obviously going to tell us that we should have taken him there, but that's just because people have not done their rankings quick enough. So we're going to get a ding for that in our grade. But remember, that's why we don't care about our grade. Now is the range where I think you would start going after those rookies. Like, we're in the range where it's like you've got about a 25% chance of hitting on a top like 30 option. Just go for it, right? Just go for guys who have a chance. So I would say for running backs, if we're going to take 2 more of them, we would go with, I lost the name. We'd go with Mike Davis, and we probably would go with Javonte Williams. And if we didn't get him, maybe Lynn Bowden, because if he's running back eligible and they play him as like a slot receiver, then that could be nice. We'll probably wait, because I do want to take another wide receiver here. let's see, Mooney, but then, I think if I haven't taken him off targets, I probably should with Dalton at quarterback now. Campbell's not a horrible option. Edelman's not a horrible option if he stays in New England. AJ Green, if you truly believe that he is like going to be the number 2 there and isn't dust, but I mean, he was just so bad last season. Like they were like, oh, he's good at contested catches. It's like, yeah, that's because he only has like a 30-yard of separation. Like he can't separate from anyone. You're gonna need to have those contested catches if you can't get open. I feel like you would just go with Devonta Smith here. Yeah. All right. That's how we'd like to end this. Devonta Smith, Mike Davis, Javonte Williams, and then whatever is next after that. Come on. Yeah. And we're going to get a very bad grade in our score here because it thinks that we're reaching hard for these guys. But right now, these are guys that you should be taking. Mike Davis is the number 1 right now. Javonte Williams is a very, very talented rookie that could land on a really nice situation. Why wouldn't you take that in the 12th round? Of course, now I'm definitely not going to be able to see his name. I thought it was in this range. He could have gotten taken. We'll type in Williams. Yeah, I think he got taken. We'll see where he went in this. Again, where he goes is completely going to depend on... All right, so he goes right after I took Mike Davis. Where he goes is going to completely depend... Why would I take a backup quarterback? On where he gets drafted, right? How many do we have, though? We have Dalvin Cook, Carson, Fournette, Mike Davis. So we have 4 running backs, and then Julio, Adam Thielen, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith. But we can start more. We have to start more wide receivers. So I think we just go 1-1 here. Well, that was unfortunate. Okay, so I very much hope that the first part of that saved. Lost power in my computer. So if I have to record this again, not going to be a happy camper with 2 people left. But hopefully this is continuing. So like I was probably saying before that happened, probably just going to go 1-1, pick a running back with upside, wide receiver with upside that I'd be perfectly comfortable just cutting, in week 2. I think that would be Gabriel Davis probably for wide receiver. Bryan Edwards, not a horrible name if he can start the season as a starting receiver. Other than that, I mean, I don't see anyone that's really jumping out right now. So we'll take Gabriel Davis, and then I didn't even look at the running backs. Probably actually would have been smart there to take Alexander Madison and just handcuff Dalvin Cook, but in a real draft, yeah, I probably would have done that. So you go with Gus Edwards. La'Mical Pirine, if you think La'Mical Pirine wins the job over Tevin Coleman, then he would be a really nice pick there. Why don't we just do Lynn Bowden? Because again, I mean, if they use him as a receiver in a full PPR league and you can use him as a running back, that's not bad at all. So let's wait for our absolutely horrible grade. Oh, actually, we have to take a defense. They're going to tank our grade so hard because they're going to be like, oh, Jamar Chase and Devonta Smith were horrendous picks. That's literally what they're going to tell us. They're going to take the Bucs every time. But hey, you know what? We're fine with it. Yeah, they hated that. But I actually think this was a very, very, very good draft. Because, Jamar Chase is going to be a top 5 pick. And he's going to be, pretty much featured right away in the offense. Devonta Smith, probably going to go to a team, hopefully, that really wants to use him. But he's so talented that, those two could both have seasons like Jefferson had last year. That is well within the range of outcomes. So pairing them with Julio, Adam Thielen, and T. Higgins, who we're very, very confident in, love that. And we didn't give up anything to acquire those 5 receivers. We've still got the number 1 tight end, a quarterback who's just consistently top 5, Dalvin Cook, Chris Carson. The one thing is Leonard Fournette. I just have no idea what's going to happen there. But I'm just under the assumption here that is too late for that opportunity. Like, if he doesn't sign with Tampa Bay and he goes somewhere else that they're not going to use him, we'll take him in the rankings, and we're not going to take him. But if he signs with Tampa Bay and they're going to use him like they did down the stretch and in the playoffs, he'll be a running back 1, and that's just like too much upside to forgo at that spot. We really would have liked to grab Najee Harris. I think it was at that spot. But the one question I think we had was, oh man, I guess just, I don't remember. Hopefully, I mean, you guys were watching the video, I hope, so you can remember for me, hopefully. I think it was Leonard versus Jamar Chase. Like, who would you have gone with at that pick? So assuming you had Dalvin Cook and Carson, and then assuming you had these 3 receivers, would you have gone with Chase or Leonard under the assumption that you didn't think either of them were going to be available at the next pick? I know I still got Chase, but pretend that I couldn't have gotten that. Which one would you have gone with? So there's our decision for this videos. But that, my friends, is the end of this one. Hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, how about hitting that like button? And how about subscribing to the channel if you're new? Thanks for watching.